You may remember Sony's brand Vaio, which made computers that were more popular during the early to mid 2000s. Vaio stands for Visual Audio Intelligent Organizer. Vaio is no longer actually owned by Sony, and on February 4th, 2014, Sony announced that it would sell its Vaio PC business due to poor sales. In March of 2014, it was announced that Japan Industrial Partners had purchased the Vaio division. They still manufacture laptops with the Vaio brand, though they're just not made by Sony. As of 2020, you can go to Vaio's website right now, I'll have the link in the description, and buy a brand new Vaio laptop. Now back to when Sony actually owned the brand. The performance of Sony Vaio products were way ahead of their time, and their design was very unique. There are many interesting secrets to the brand name, such as Vaio sounding similar to violet, which is why many of the earlier laptops were purple. Or the Vaio startup sound, sounding very similar to the DTMF tones when you type Vaio on a phone. If you don't hear the similarity, listen again. If you want to try it yourself, all you have to do is type in 8246 on a phone. The final little secret I'm going to talk about is this one in the logo, where the VA looks like a sine wave and the IO looks like binary digits, 1 and 0. Other than those little secrets, I think another cool thing is that the models just all had this different style, and they looked really futuristic, and yeah, so let's get on with the review. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the Sony Vaio PCG-FXA53. Now, you may notice that other little model number there, in parentheses. That's the model number I found on the bottom. The main one, which I noted earlier, is actually the one that's near the monitor. I don't know which one's the main one, I just threw them both in there. This particular model was released in 2002. Now, the specs are going to vary on what specific laptop you have, and this one was actually upgraded, but I'm just going to go over the specs anyway. So we have 512 megabytes, even though I think it used to be 256 megabytes, and it was upgraded with another 256 megabytes of PC-133 RAM. This laptop carries a Team Red processor. We got an AMD Athlon XP 1500 Plus, clocked at 1.3 GHz. And yes, it is one core. We've got some ATI Rage Mobility graphics with 8 megabytes of VRAM, a 30 gigabyte 2.5-inch IDE hard drive, and it used to come with Windows XP Home, but I upgraded it to Windows XP Professional Service Pack 3. Going over the laptop, we have the top, which has the Sony logo and the Vaio logo engraved into it. Here is the laptop with the lid closed. And here it is opened up. One different thing about this laptop is that the lid folds all the way back. I don't really find this useful, and I'm not really impressed by it, but it's really different as most laptops have a limit to how far back the lid can tilt. We'll talk a bit more about this feature later. Now let's go over some of the other parts of the laptop. As you can see, the screen is a 4:3 aspect ratio, common for the computers of that time. There's the keyboard here, and the mouse pad right here. As you can see, it's pretty small compared to today's standards. We got one of those designed for Windows XP stickers. Along the top of the keyboard, we have the speakers, the power button, and some indicators. The laptop, being more of a square than a rectangle, due to the 4:3 aspect ratio of the monitor, has a shorter keyboard. And as you can see, the number pad keys are spread out all across the letter keys, because there is no room for a number pad. The overall feel of the keyboard isn't great, but it's not the worst either, and it isn't too bad to type on. At the back of the laptop, we have a few ports: power in, USB, Ethernet, VGA, printer, serial, another USB, and a dial-up adapter. We also have a vent for the hot air to blow out. 2 USB ports is about the same as a laptop today, and remember that USB was rather new at the time. This laptop has a lot of ports, and I like that as you can connect a lot to it. On one side of the laptop, we have a Kensington lock, some audio inputs and outputs, a plug for Sony camcorders, some PC MCIA slots, and the battery. The PC cards are relatively easy to insert and remove. All you need to do is push one of the buttons and pop out one of the placeholders and put in your PC card. And the battery is removed like so. Yes, my battery cover is a little broken and I will try to fix it someday. And the battery is just a battery. But the surprising thing is it's worked after all these years. Most laptop batteries I've seen from this time are completely dead, but this one will last 30 minutes before needing to be recharged. And yes, if you got a new battery, it would run for much longer than that, but I mean, for how old this thing is, I'd say that's pretty good. The other side of the laptop has a DVD-ROM and a floppy drive. Now this floppy drive could actually be swapped out with another battery for a longer battery life. Now I have to say, Vaio was kind of thinking ahead of their time, as floppy drives were starting to phase out and CD-ROMs were being used more and more. Instead of using that old floppy drive in the future, you could just put a new battery in and it would run for longer. Or I guess if you got a cover, just take the floppy drive out as you didn't need it and the laptop would be a little bit lighter. A little release switch on the bottom allowed you to simply take it out. Now let's look at the bottom. We've got these little feet here, and I'm not sure what they're for, but I think they're for better airflow. This thing supposedly lets you connect it to a dock, or you can connect more monitors or peripherals to. The good old days, when you could literally just remove one screw and access your RAM, hard drive, and network card. As you can see, there's two 256 megabyte RAM sticks. As they're mismatched, I believe that one was added later, as it was very common for someone to upgrade the RAM in their laptop. Under this panel is the BIOS chip and the dial-up adapter. Unfortunately, the hard drive is a little harder to get to as you have to take the keyboard off, and we're not going to be getting into it in this video. Here is the power brick. It's really simple. It's 19.5 volts and that's about it. This thing actually came with its power brick at the resale shop. I mean, that is amazing. Usually you have to shop for them online, and especially since this one uses a really odd cable that Sony made, I'm really glad I found it there. And to show you that the battery works, we're going to boot it up without the power brick first. Sony's logo first appears when you start it up. And it boots into Windows XP. I know that Microsoft ended support for Windows XP. Now I'll show you a quick tour around the BIOS. Gotta make sure I hit that key so I can enter the setup. Now it's just like any other BIOS with its default settings and system information and boot priorities, stuff like that. The thing we're going to be looking at here is the logo motion and the logo motion volume. This adds the cool little startup animation and sound. We're going to try a few games now. This is The Incredible Machine, Even More Contraptions, a big game from my childhood. If you don't know what this game is, it's just basically a game about contraptions, building them, solving them, and it's honestly pretty fun, and I played a lot when I was younger. It's not a demanding game, and really can run on any computer. I just wanted to play it because it's a cool game, and I just wanted to see it run on an old computer like this. Next, we're going to install Microsoft Flight Simulator 2. Apparently, this laptop doubles up as a chainsaw. Alright, well, it seems to load like 3D just fine. Okay, starting the engine. There's escape to end. I'm just gonna do W. Oh, no. Let's see, take off or something. Let's go a max, whatever that is. Oh, here we go. And I'm stalling. Okay, I'm flying though. I don't know where I'm stalling. Whoa. Well, at least I know now it can run like a 3D kind of maps here. Now, just because I want to test this laptop, I'm just gonna do this. Look at that nice high FPS for that explosion render there. Well, it runs older games just fine. What about video and audio and other types of media? For PDFs, you can install Adobe Acrobat and read them just fine, and really that's what this laptop can be used for today. Reading emails, PDFs, and simple web pages. Now as for audio, it works just fine, and actually the speakers are working surprisingly good. Now, you can't tell in this video because my microphone camera isn't that great, and I have an air conditioner on in my room. Copyright music. That's better. Now, just for experimental purposes, let's turn the bass up on VLC and see what happens. Great! Now, just a note, this isn't YouTube, this is a downloaded video of a heist with Markiplier. Now, this laptop will run 360p and 480p and anything below that just fine. But its CPU usage will go near to 100% as it plays the video. I've seen it be able to go to lower percentages if you change the graphics settings a little bit and the resolution a little bit, but really it does use a lot of the CPU. And really it all comes down to codec and stuff, because this one is only using 30% of the CPU. But once you go to 720p or 1080p, you get stuff like this. The CPU and GPU can simply just not handle it. Since it can play 480p video, DVDs run on it just fine. Movies look better in the 4:3 aspect ratio because that's what the laptop screen is. This thing doesn't have a built-in camera, but it has USB, which means we can use an external camera. Now you can join your Skype or Zoom meetings. I will be doing a video about this old Logitech camera in the future. All you have to do is plug it in, Windows XP drivers should work, and we have to start up some video capture software. We can also take pictures and small videos and save them to the desktop. But of course, AMCAP loves to put their watermark over it. For size comparison, here's 3 different laptops, including the Vaio. This is the Vaio compared to a modern Lenovo IdeaPad 330 laptop. As you can see, the size has changed a lot. Though it was obvious that the Sony Vaio was heavier, compared to a modern laptop, it was a lot lighter than I had expected. Now, as for stowing the laptop into a Swiss Gear backpack, my modern laptop works just fine, but it doesn't fit totally because I believe the laptop is made for a smaller screen size, but it still works as long as you don't put it in the little compartment thing they have, and rather on the outside. And the Vaio actually fits in the bag just fine. Now for lightweight use, I could definitely see this laptop still being used as an everyday device. It can perform simple tasks and it can play old games, which I like playing, so yeah, this definitely could still be used as a laptop today. Now, if you were to use it for web browsing, I would not recommend Windows XP for security issues. I would rather recommend something like Ubuntu, which is a lightweight version of Ubuntu, and it will run on 32-bit machines. Now, one other thing I want to point out is a video I made not too long ago about this same laptop. I connected it to a Wi-Fi network, and if you want to see that video, make sure to hit that little time card right now to check it out. Now, going back to that feature where the laptop screen could be all the way tilted back, I tried it out and I just didn't see any reason for it. Maybe if it was like the Surface Pad where it had the touch screen or something like that, it might work out, but it was just kind of odd. And actually, a coincidence is the laptop you saw earlier, the modern one, the Lenovo IdeaPad 330, which is my everyday laptop, does the exact same thing. Now, what I'm going to use this laptop for is just my average Windows XP machine, which I can then, play old games, do different stuff, and it's kind of nice to have a computer actually from that era instead of just using an emulator for it, so yeah. But when this laptop came out, it was truly different than most other laptops at the time, and I have to say the specs are pretty good. And though it's not the most interesting laptop in the Vaio product line, it is still a bit different, and it's honestly pretty cool. And so as Vaio is no longer owned by Sony and it's an independent company, hopefully we can keep these laptops in good shape and preserve them for years to come. I still don't get this feature.